If you haven't already, give the video a like. Subscribe to this channel. This is a what if horror series. And stay tuned and thanks for watching. So you guys are amazing. What if Naruto had Pennywise powers? Part 2 is going to commence. But I just want to thank you guys for being so supportive of the series, even though it's brand new and I'm not going to be doing any more brand new what if series. I'm going to be doing, well, one more. I know I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to focus on doing more older what if stories, such as what if Deku had the Infinity Stones? Yes, I'm going to go back to that one. And I'm also going to go back to a various of other what if stories that I haven't touched upon in a few ages. Anyway, so let's get back into the story. We left off with Minato basically scaring the shit or putting Obito in a position where he couldn't move, breathe, or let alone do anything. He was just terrified of Minato's power and somewhat forgot about this kind of power. Just a little sense that it's just that point I want to add in. And so now we fast forward to the time when Naruto's around 10 years old. 10 years old. So he's just casually walking around the village and everything, getting used to his techniques and what he can do. He sometimes does his little pranks, or not to an extent, but to a scary extent. But he mostly spends his time training with his father. And his father has taught him how to shapeshift, how to use his telepathy, how to use his strength, speed, and agility, because that's what comes with the Kekkei Genkai. And also how to use fear manipulating powers. Basically training Naruto in taijutsu and a bunch of other things. So Naruto's power, well, his skills would be low tuning level at this point, or high, just say high tuning level at this point. I'm not gonna lowball this any at all. I'm not gonna lowball this. So Naruto is now, fast forward to Naruto being 12 years old, graduating the academy with very easiness, doing the clone jutsu and everything else. Naruto's at the top of his class, being very smart, but also just wanting to do something else. See, Naruto is eager for battle, but something else is on his mind. Naruto wants to inflict fear. He wants to become something known as fear throughout the ninja lands, and that belief is nothing to be, well, fucked with. So as the teams get their assigned, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura are on the same team with each other, with their joining instructor being Kakashi. Everything plays out as normal until they reach the rooftop where Kakashi told them to go so they can display their goals and dreams, with Sasuke's being the same as in canon, with a certain someone he has to kill and that he or avenge, whatever it was. Sakura's being the uselessness that it was in the canon, and Naruto's being somewhat bone chilling, as he says, me, well, I don't know what I want, but I don't know what I want as a goal, but something as a fruition, or something I'm gonna see through. Basically, I want to become a ninja known as Fear, just like my father. See, his name was known as Flash Fear throughout the ninja land. I want to be known as something beyond that, something more scarier, something that strikes fear into the person's heart. Yeah, that's what I want to become. Kakashi's just scratching his head, not knowing what Naruto meant by all that, but he's saying the ninja world can be a scary place. Even somebody can be much scarier than you, Naruto. And Naruto would disagree, saying, the only person I know that's scarier than me is my father. And everything would continue as normal until we get to the bell test. And this is where Naruto would use a trick that his father has taught him. And some of you might not agree with me, or some of you might, but this is the trick that he's going to use. So Naruto would use insanity projection. Not too much, but he would mix it with his bloodlust, basically putting Kakashi in a spot to where he could not move. He's never felt so much fear in his life, because right now what Kakashi is staring at is his father walking right towards him. Yes, Kakashi's looking at his father. His father is in front of him. And as his father get close to him, he doesn't know what he's going to do until he just takes the bells and morphs back to Naruto. And then Kakashi's fear, everything else, Kakashi can move now, and Kakashi just falls to his knees and says, "What was that?" And Naruto bends down and says, "My bad, Kakashi sensei. Didn't mean to give you that much of a scare. But the trick was to get the bells, right? Anyway, I know what this test is about, so I kind of cheated. Here you go." So Naruto would go back and basically tell the whole team that this whole test is about teamwork. We have to work together to get the bells. So they eventually do that. Naruto devises a plan to where they maneuver each and every one, but he also displays like Sasuke skills, and he also displays like Sakura skills, and knows that this is going to be hard because Sakura is basically a fangirl, and Sasuke is too stuck up in, well, basically emo or shut off with the world. Yeah, so this is going to take some time. So everything plays out as normal, but the only person that did get stuck to the tree was Sakura. She had got stuck to the tree because she wasn't much of doing anything. She stayed back and waited for her opportunity to try and like attack Kakashi Sensei, but she ended up getting put into a genjutsu, and yep, that plays out. On the team ended up feeding Sakura, so this is the other way around. So everything plays out as normal, but up until the point where they're getting their first C rank mission. I mean, after completing weeks and weeks on top of D rank missions and everything, Naruto basically one mission he scared the cat from inside the tree, and the cat was shaking, like shivering, and the girl said, "Wait, what did you?" He said, "I got it from up there. The rascal wasn't gonna come down any other way, so I basically scared it shitless. It will go into hiding in the house for a few weeks. Be sure to keep an eye out for it." Anyway, so as the team is getting ready to go on their first C-Rank mission to escort Tazuna to the land of waves, Tazuna would come in, and he was about to say something about the three Genin, but a look from Naruto, his blue eyes suddenly just flashed yellow. And Tazuna just said in his head, "Why am I getting this scary yet bone-chilling vibe from this child?" And Naruto's eyes would shift right back to blue, and he would just smile at Tazuna. Tazuna will feel the atmosphere around him just being fun and more exciting vibe, like the energy was high. And this was Naruto manipulating reality around Tazuna, basically hallucinating or hallusions to make Tazuna feel somewhat at ease. Minato would tell Naruto to stop, and Tazuna will be released from his whole world of genjutsu, the strongest genjutsu he's ever felt or faced. It could have been the first time, or I don't know if Tazuna was ever hit by a genjutsu, but this will be the first one he would feel like as if it was. So, as they're walking, as they're getting ready to go on their mission, they leave the Leaf Village, and they're continuing on their mission. So the team happened to walk by a puddle on the ground. And they pay it no mind, but Naruto, he keeps his eyes on it. And this intrigues Naruto, as these are going to be the first two people. Yes, Naruto knows it's two people under there, as he's using his telepathy to basically hear the minds of the two individuals as they're talking, to basically saying, "Tazuna's right here. Good. We can kill everyone here and be on our way." So, as the two Chunin brothers get out of the water and they try to attack Kakashi, Naruto's right there and grabs both of their hands, breaking it, ripping off both of their arms, and then eating it in front of them. Basically, Naruto's mouth just stretched wide open, and you see nothing but rows of teeth. And he eats both of the Chunin brothers' arms. Now they are horrified. They feel nothing but fear in this moment. They try to run. They're getting up. They're trying to scurry off as fast as they can. They get it on their hands and feet, screaming out as Naruto lands right in front of them and grabbing them by the neck, ripping their throats out as the blood gushed all over the ground. The two Chunin brothers fell, clutching their throats as they're losing blood. They can barely scream. The goriness is just coming out of their mouth, basically choking them, and they fall dead. Naruto basically throws the rest of the remnants down, and he looks back with blood, well, his hands and nails stained with blood, and his coat and jacket with blood splatter all over it. Naruto looks back at his team with his eyes glowing yellow. And his team, well, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi not so much, as basically he's dealt with Minato and he knows how his teacher was. But the first instance, Kakashi wasn't just used to the trick that Naruto developed with using his father against him. See, Minato has never done nothing like that, so that's kind of caught Kakashi off guard. But Kakashi is not so surprised at it, but it is a little scary to see something like this, but he's not too surprised at it, while Sakura and Sasuke are basically horrified, shocked. Sasuke feels the fear from Naruto, and basically it's reminding him of that night when Itachi slaughtered his whole village. Tazuna is basically scared shitless that if he would have said anything wrong or called this kid weak, he doesn't know what this guy would have did to him. And Naruto basically wipes the blood from his mouth and looks at his team and says, "So, let's get going. I basically took care of that issue." So as they continue to walk, the mist starts to roll in and the team would say, "Duck." Well, everyone starts to duck and Naruto would see a blade coming at him and it would basically chop Naruto in half, and it would just reveal that nothing happened. A bunch of red balloons just spewed everywhere. And the mist would begin to clear as they see Zabuza land on his blade, but all he's looking at is the balloons that are everywhere behind him. Like, the balloons are just everywhere, these red balloons, and one happens to pop behind Zabuza, and he gets kicked into the ground. Very hard, very ferocious, very thundering. I mean, the kick would hurt Zabuza so bad that he was on the ground, trying to clench his back. Naruto stepped on the sword slightly and with one foot, and he would look at Zabuza, and his eyes are glowing yellow. And he would say, "One thing after another, one roach after another. Should I eat you too, Zabuza?" Zabuza is finding it hard to breathe, hard to stand. His worst fear is in front of him right now, as Zabuza seeing some of his worst nightmares just flash before his eyes. Zabuza is crying, tears are flowing down his eyes, and he's saying, "Please stop, please stop." His hair is like changing color. It goes from black to white as Zabuza's claw like pounding the ground as he looking up, and Naruto's getting closer and closer. And then he just grabs his kunai out of his pouch and slits Zabuza's throat. And the blood comes spewing out of Zabuza's neck. And this sends an enraged Haku into battle. And Haku rushes at Naruto, like red with tears coming out of his eyes. And Haku says, "How dare you? How dare you kill Zabuza? Zabuza was everything to me. How dare you?" And this is where Naruto would say, "Calm down. This has nothing to do with a weakling like you." And Kaku would feel herself being in a small room, and then she would want him. It's hard to be like a boy or girl because I don't think the creator who wrote Haku knew what he was doing in that moment. So anyway, we're now looking like Haku is now in this room where she just sees her father standing over her, a bunch of people standing over her, and this time he tries to use his power. He tries over and over, but it's not working as the people are beginning to beat him ferociously, step on him, cut him, stab him, break his bones and kneecaps. And Haku is just going through this repeatedly over and 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 over until Naruto basically stops, and Haku's right there, basically down on the ground, the same as Zabuza, with his throat slit. And Naruto basically looked back at Tazuna and said, "Well, these two were very weak." Kakashi is basically amazed that Naruto is able to take out Zabuza, a legendary swordsman, one of the seven deadly swordsmen, and a legend at that. Haku, who they really didn't know much about, so he wouldn't give him a ranking on there, but it's a huge feat to take down someone like Zabuza. Anyway, you know, it'd be a more gruesome fact. As Haku woke up, let's say this, let's retcon that whole thing scene right there. He didn't get his throat slit. No, he's gonna have a more horrific ending. So Haku just woke, like, basically snapped himself out of the horrific genjutsu that he was in, only to see a row of teeth in front of him, and this 12-year-old boy just clenched onto him as his mouth spreads wide open. Haku tried his best to like shoot ice at the boy or try to get him off of him, but it didn't work as Naruto's nails and hands like dug into Haku's flesh and skin as he's grabbing onto Haku with such force that he cannot pry this boy off of him. And Naruto's mouth just spread wide open and he clenches onto Haku's head, basically ripping it off. And Haku falls dead. Naruto gets up off the girl and, well, the boy, wipes his mouth with blood and say, "Can we continue?" This makes Sakura throw up. And this makes Sasuke just basically clench his fist. Now he's not feeling, what he's feeling is fear, and he doesn't want to feel his fear anymore. So Sasuke says, "Am I still weak? What is Naruto? Is this some kind of Kekkei Genkai?" And Naruto basically taps Sasuke on the shoulder and he feels nothing but relief. And he says, "Calm down, Sasuke. Don't be that scared of me. Don't you got a goal you need to attend to?" And they continue on with the Land of Waves. Basically, Sakura is scared shitless because like what Naruto just did was horrific and she didn't think he was capable of doing those kind of things. I mean, eating a person, oh, that's just overboard. And Sasuke, he's thinking of how did Naruto get this strong or powerful like this, while Kakashi's just reading his book and flipping through pages, and Tazuna is basically sweating now. He knows that if he would have said something wrong, he feels a sharp pain down his spine that, I know what I'm going to name my bridge. I know exactly what I want to name my bridge. As this kid right here has the potential to be something way, way worse than people ever thought. Something made of fear. So everything would play out normal with that. And the team would return back with the bridge being named the bridge. Well, say for example, the bridge was named Pennywise. And in this universe, Pennywise is going to stand for the name of fear. And it always had this tone to it. The bridge would always have this little saying, "If you go next to Naruto, you'll float too." That's what this little boy always told passengers. That, what did that name mean? And the Tazuna would always tell them that it means, it's a story about a 12-year-old boy. But it's a horrific and scary story. But if you ever encountered this ninja, or fought this ninja, remember this, you'll float too. So the team would return back to the village, and Naruto would be there, and he would look at his teammates, and he would say, "Well, I'm going off to train with my father. Keep me posted if anything turns up." Kakashi would go and recommend his team for the tuning exams, and this is where everyone would gather again. But this is where Naruto would run into Konohamaru, and everything would play out as normal, with Konohamaru basically running into Kankuro, and Kankuro being like the asshole he was in canon. And this where Naruto would scare him shitless. I'm talking about, I'm gonna be potent with this. This is where Naruto would rush at Kankuro and basically have his fear standing right in front of him. But he would be levitating Kankuro without even moving. Naruto would have his hands in his pocket and his eyes would just be flashing from blue to yellow, and he would be basically throwing Kankuro around the village in high speeds, and Kankuro would land right back on the ground that he was, with a broken arm and a broken leg. Kankuro is badly damaged. This is where Gaara would feel fear from the first time, possibly leading back to the night where they had this ninja come out and try to kill Gaara. And it turns out to be someone he knew and held dear to him. Gaara has felt this fear and he's smiling at it. He's grabbing his head and saying, "Mother, this is the one I'm going to kill." And right then and there, Naruto would look at Kankuro and his hand would go straight through Kankuro's chest, basically crushing Kankuro's heart and ripping it out from his body. And Kankuro would fall dead on the ground. And this is what Naruto would say: "You idiot. You put this upon yourself. You're the one who attacked or tried to attack the third Hokage's grandson. You deserve nothing less than death." Then he looked at Tayuya. Well, not Tayuya. He looked at whatever her name was. He looked at her and she felt like she didn't know what to do. Naruto crept closer to her as the steps were getting close and close. Naruto was just walking. She fell on the ground and Naruto would bend down to her on one knee and he would look her into her eyes and he would say, "So, do you want to fight too? Or do you concede?" She's breathing heavily. She doesn't know what's going to happen in this moment, but she says, I and then Naruto put his hands over her mouth and says, "You don't need to worry. I'm not going to kill you. You should control your fear as it's making you smell delicious." Naruto walks off with it, and this is where Sasuke's staring off, like Sasuke's in a distant tree, but Gaara is on the ground, sweating, grabbing his head, smiling, and Tayuya, well, I don't know her name. Damn, I forgot her name, but she's on the ground, basically sweating and grabbing her chest. Naruto, well, meets up with Kakashi and his team, and they all go to explain that the tuning exams is getting ready to start. Well, I recommended you all for the tuning exams. Naruto clenches his fist and saying, "Well, my idea of me becoming the ninja of fear can finally be put into act." So everything would play out as normal, and the team would easily get through that genjutsu that they got into in canon. Basically, easily. Naruto's presence alone would scare them shitless. And this is where they would get to the point where Rock Lee... Now, this is the funny part. Rock Lee wants to fight Sasuke. He wants to fight Naruto. But Rock Lee is too scared to even approach them. I mean, Naruto walked in there with his bloodlust heavy. See, Naruto's meant to be, well, he's aiming to intimidate any individual there. He's trying to be as scary as possible, as fearful as possible. So that's why he has his bloodlust so high. And this is where Rock Lee, well, casually walks over and says, "Naruto, fight me now." And Naruto looks at Rock Lee and his whole body is shivering. Rock Lee is so scared to be in front of Naruto right now that he can barely even keep his composure. And Naruto says, "If you can manage to not be scared of me while you're standing right in front of me, then I'll fight you. But as for right now, if I were to touch you, I will basically knock you over." So the team walked past Rock Lee and the others, with Neji saying, "So, I wonder what he's capable of doing." So the team would get into the classroom where they had their whole exam test or anything, and everything would play out exactly as normal, but Naruto wouldn't do that whole outburst thing like that. He would just be emitting his bloodlust and seeing which one of them would be scared enough to leave. And more students would leave rather than normal. So the students that were there wouldn't leave because of the test. Let's say they left because of Naruto's immediate bloodlust. It made them sweat. It made them scary. And every time they looked back at Naruto, they wouldn't see a kid there. They would see something of their worst nightmare standing right in front of them. Some kids would see a huge scarecrow, or some kid would see like a bloodied up person, like their bloodied up mother, basically just having her head, well, basically sitting in a chair and cutting her own head off. Or they would see a clown there sitting in the chair with a red balloon smiling at them. Basically, imagine Naruto as a clown, but the yellow hair and the Pennywise face. Yeah, just imagine Naruto looking just like with the Pennywise makeup and the Pennywise suit. And they would see Naruto, just see that there. They were scared, so they didn't want to stay there. They didn't want to be there anymore. So they left. And everything would play out as normal with that, with the team going forth to the Forest of Death. Thank you guys for being so supportive of this series. Now, if you want a part 3, you know what to do. Smash the like button. Smash it, and as many likes as you can get in there, and then I will put out a part 2 as soon as possible. Anyway, you all know the deal. You'll float too.
You'll float too.